Good morning, round two. Mr. Eric Johnson, with two R's in Eric, is critical of me. I'm a bootlicker, apparently, because there are a lot of cops out there who have been caught from their body cameras, and cops turn off their body cameras frequently, and that indicates that they don't like them. And my response to that is multi-layered. First, I was responding to a specific argument raised by Earl. Earl's argument was that one cop's statement proved that cop specifically, and then thus generalized to cops in general, did not like his body cam because he called it a no fun box. The argument was very poorly made, very poorly reasoned, and it didn't hold up to even kindergarten level scrutiny. I did not make any comment, I did not make any claim that cops don't get caught on video. But let me just use your logic for a minute. Auditors have filmed themselves many times, multiple times. Desert Sentinel had a channel that was running until apparently he got exhausted of it, just outlining dates and times of arraignments and pretrial conferences and trials for auditors who had filmed themselves committing various offenses. Auditors film themselves committing offenses frequently. Trespassing is probably the number one thing that they film themselves doing. Does that mean that auditors don't like their cameras? Likewise, auditors turn on their cameras and turn off their cameras. Sometimes they turn on their cameras after the action has started. Sometimes they turn off the cameras before the action ends. And oftentimes they edit their video. Does that mean that auditors hate their cameras? Does that mean that auditors feel that their cameras are snitching on the auditors? When you've wrapped your brain around that, let me know, because that's a direct analogy to the argument that you're attempting to make about the cops and their body cameras. Now, as far as why cops don't run their body cameras 24 or their entire shift, which is probably 8 to 12 hours. I'm guessing it's probably about 12 hours. I think they're probably on 12-hour shifts if I'm thinking about it. Maybe 8, but let's just say for the sake of argument, let's say that it's 8 hours. They're filming, those body cameras are filming in high resolution. I believe they're filming in like 1080p, maybe 720p, but they're very high resolution film. And assuming the boxes can run for 8 to 12 hours, that would be a lot of data. That would be a lot of storage space required by the police department to maintain. Especially like a large, you get a police department with, like the LA County Sheriff's Department, thousands of officers, each recording 8 hours a day. I mean, that's a lot. You've got to have like a lot of server space to store all that data. You've got to spend a lot of money on that storage solution. So it's not really practical, and it's just better practice for the officer to record the relevant portions, from the start of the encounter, preferably to the end of it, or as soon as the officer reasonably suspects there's going to be something that he's going to need to have recorded until the encounter terminates. It seems to be a better solution that doesn't eat up terabytes of storage every day. So I'm assuming that's why. And also it's probably just for convenience. I mean, if you need a specific encounter, it's probably easier to dig through, 3 hours of video recorded a day rather than 12 hours of video recorded a day per cop. You know what I mean? Just, I don't know why people like these live streams. Maybe they just like to hear people yammering in their ear for an hour or three. But trying to find anything relevant in a 3-hour live stream, I remember X, you're trying to find it in that 3-hour video. You're like, fuck it. I just don't even care anymore. And also the argument that that Mr. Johnson is raising doesn't take into account the number of times that officers have been exonerated by their body cam evidence. And that happens very frequently. People like to think that it's qualified immunity that gets officers off the hook as far as civil cases are concerned. But more often than not, it is body cam footage. Body cam footage has been a huge boon to the police departments and to police officers, because before the suspect could bang his head against the window in the cop car, right? Just smash his head up real good on his own and then say it was police abuse. And then you have the suspect with a bleeding head and his word against the cop, and the cop's like, I didn't do it, he smashed his head against the window. And now it goes to a jury. Now with the body cameras and the dash cams and all the other fun stuff, now the officers have a way to exonerate themselves. So these things, like everything in life, there's, I'm sure there are some cops who love them. I'm sure there are some cops who hate them. But at the end of the day, I believe that cops don't hate them, generally speaking, or else they wouldn't be as quick to turn them on. Now, that brings up a video that I saw. Blue Bacon had put out a link to a video that he was asking if people wanted him to do a response to. And it was a few days ago, so hopefully he's made his response. And I'm not going to really go over it in detail here. But an officer was called on his personal cell phone to do an interview with someone who identified himself as an FBI agent. And it was about a ticket that the officer had written, but not actually given to the person. The officer decided not to give it to the person he had written the ticket to. And it was for a hit and run, or leaving the scene of an accident. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was hit and run. And the officer decided not to give it because he felt that she didn't, have the requisite intent. Maybe she didn't know, I don't know. But he said he didn't think that she actually was guilty of it, or something along those lines. So the person who identified themselves as an FBI agent wanted to meet the officer outside, not through the regular channels. And so the officer met him there and was asked about the ticket. And he's like, well, let me go pull up the ticket and print it out so I know what we're talking about. And then that's when he went back to the vehicle and was like, you know what? And he turned on his body camera and he said, you know what? I'm not comfortable with this. And, why don't you, show me your identification, etc. I want to know who I'm dealing with. And the FBI agent got all squirrely and got super squirrely and made accusations about the cop that cop's body camera is going to refute. So the cop, when the cop was in an uncertain situation, the cop turned on his body camera, is the point I'm going to go with. I'll let Blue Bacon deal with anything else in there, like why an FBI agent would be looking at a traffic ticket, which is not a federal offense, especially one that wasn't actually given to the person. Kind of makes you wonder. But my point is that the officer turned it on to defend himself. So going out there and saying that cops don't like body cameras, that's going to be a much more nuanced minefield than you want to believe with your kindergarten level reasoning that some cops have been busted by their own body cameras, ergo cops don't like body cameras. Lots of auditors have been busted by their body cameras. That doesn't mean that auditors don't want to take their cameras out into the field anymore and cause trouble. So I hope that made sense. You're welcome for that bit of morning logic. Thanks for watching and have a great day.